Then we'll talk about 800 years of democracy. So we are actually commemorating 800 years of democracy and the rule of law. So let's talk about the rule of law. Shall we have a little bit of an introduction? What is rule of law?
So the rule of law, in my understanding, is that no one is above the law. Now, that's a very simplistic overview, but it essentially means that our governments can't break laws as much as you or I can't break laws. So it's pretty interesting.
Right. Where did this all start? Why do we commence 800 years of democracy? What's the foundation? When did it happen, or what happened? Who was involved?
Well, it started all in 1215, centuries ago.
Right.
And it's basically a charter with the underlying principle that that no one is above the law. And that, over time, has been translated into other principles. For example, in Australia, the separation of powers, so there's checks and balances between the executive, parliament and the judiciary.
Right. And that document is called?
The Constitution.
Oh, yes.
Well,
what? Which
the Latin document.
The Latin document,
the 800 years.
Oh, the document, yes.
Which is called the Magna Carta.
Right. And how did it come to being?
It happened with King John when he was in power,
Right.
isn't it?
All right. King
yeah,
John.
that's right.
Fantastic.
You just
All right.
didn't say that.
Okay. King John, what did he do? What happened?
Well, didn't he reluctantly sign the Magna Carta? Because it was essentially saying that he couldn't enforce his power over the land. So there had to be essentially a democracy created within his own government or his kingdom.
It's surprising, in 1215, people started saying that, where people considered at that time the God's divine power was with the king. But there is a document coming up saying that no one is above, or essentially saying, in summary, no one is above the law, not even the king. So it's an important document. Let me give a summary. The original 1215 charter had concerned the medieval relationship between the monarch and barons, rather than the rights of ordinary people. However, the essence of the document is this, that no one in society is above the law, which we've discussed, not the king, nor his subjects, not the government, nor the governed. Authority should be subject to law arising from the community itself. Magna Carta is a foundation stone of constitutional and parliamentary government. Other countries also use the concept of Magna Carta. For example, United States and Australia and United States, in their Bill of Rights, they mention a sense of the Magna Carta. And in 1215, how did this come to being? Again, I'm asking the question, what happened and who sought this document and who was involved?
I think essentially the barons were complaining about his exercise of sovereignty to tax them.
Right.
In essence, the barons wished to share his decision in taxing his people. So, in other words, they want to have a share of control in the sovereign power. So the Magna Carta came in essentially so that they can share that power.
Yeah, the power shouldn't be left to just one person. It should be like today with the democratic society, ruled by everyone, and everyone has an input into what the laws are of the country.
Well, I think
whether that's by voting, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think George Orwell coined it perfectly. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. If you invest the power in one person, they're just going to put it to their own polarised view. And unfortunately, that's going to lead to contraventions to human rights, or, you know, them taking my house because they felt like it. So it's good to see that something like the Magna Carta came along. I presume the question raises, and I'm sure our viewers out there have got the same question, 800 years, why is it still relevant?
Why is it still relevant? Can I put to...
Well, I asked the question, so these guys.
I would say, for example, even the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights contains the essence of Magna Carta. And also...
Did you say the United States?
United Nations.
Nations.
I should say, if I said, yeah, United Nations.
Nations.
And coming back to United States, in its, as mentioned before, of course, the essence of Magna Carta again. I think I have a sentence from that. No free man is to be taken or imprisoned of his free tenement or of his liberties or free customs, or outlawed or exiled in any way. And it goes on to say that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty or property without due process of the law. That is Magna Carta, chapter 29, 1297. So it's quite impressive. It's a quite impressive document, I would say. And about the parliamentary process, currently, because of Magna Carta, now the people are involved in bringing up laws. How is that process? What's the process? How do you gets involved in the lawmaking process?
Well, if you don't like a law, you can essentially get a rally of people. And essentially, because the government is a representative of the people who voted them in, there's a majority, you can essentially make great change via that.
So people appoint people to go to the parliament, and they bring up laws, and the parliament passes the law, so it becomes people's law of the people.
Yeah, but occasionally though, the parliament might be overstepping their powers that are outlined in the constitution, so that's why there's the judiciary. If they have overstepped, someone can bring a case and say, look, no, that's not what you're meant to be doing, that's overstepping the boundary, you've exercised your power wrong, and then the courts will make a decision as to whether that law is legitimate and genuine, or whether it has that body has overstepped.
I believe in Australia we have a version of the 1297 Magna Carta, which Australia has bought from England back in 1960s, I believe.
Yes, I think it is somewhere in Canberra, isn't it?
That's correct.
In a museum?
Somewhere.
I don't know. But we've got actually, and the United States has also got a copy in one of their libraries, I believe. So a Magna Carta is certainly not a dead document. It is well and live.
It lives on through all sorts of documents, constitutions, bills of rights.
That's all the time we've got for you today. If you want to see our past episodes, you can visit us on www.lawhelpaustralia.org. You can also visit our YouTube page or Facebook. Thank you and bye for now.